guys, welcome back to More Than Society season number 2. We're so glad that you followed our previous seasons, and this season is really special because I have my 2 brothers with me and we're here in Bali. So More Than Society is about, we talk about society norms, philosophical dilemmas, and the human experience and all that. So I'm your host, Meta, and today we're going to be exploring some of the most intriguing concepts that shape our daily lives, whether we realize it or not. So we're going to be talking about illusion of choice and control, the way we quantify personal achievements, and the fine line between external and internal validations. So I feel like in a world where we're always bombarded by expectations from either ourselves or our society or others, it's like, how do we kind of navigate who we are and the forces that we have? So whether you guys are someone who's always questioning the world around you like I am, or just looking for a better way to understand yourself, this episode is for you. So let's dive in. I just want to have a reintroduction. So Gervin, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Hello everybody, you probably saw me in the previous episode. I'm Garvit. I came to Bali around 3-4 weeks ago, and it's coming to an end, unfortunately. I really enjoyed my time here. Got a massage yesterday, went to a tea house, saw a waterfall, so I really enjoyed my time here. It was the most relaxing vacation I've had in a while, and I travel quite often, so glad to be here. Super excited about the topics. It's illusion of control has been something that's been really on my mind, so we'll get to it.
And what about you and Nadi?
Yeah, enjoying my time here as well. I love the beaches here. It's really relaxing. It's not much to explore, and it's good that way. So we can just relax and take the day as it goes. I'm really excited for this podcast again. I think we're going to go deeper this time. So let's do it.
Nice. So when we talk about how much of our decision making is genuinely free, and how much do you think is influenced by society norms and expectations?
Yeah, it's a tough one, right? Because you're kind of born into societal expectations, right? So you're born and you're put all these rules on top of you, right? That you have to go to school, you have to wake up at a certain time, and you finish school at a certain time. You have your recess, you have your lunch, and it would be untrue to say that these things don't influence you, right? So right when you're born, society's gonna influence you right away, and the way you make your character or develop your character has to be within those realms, because someone that's born in North America is going to have a very different lifestyle from India. You might have more freedom or less freedom, but you're overall boxed in. And this box that you're in will continue throughout your whole life. And I think that's what the illusion is. It might get bigger, it might get smaller, but the box will always be there no matter what. So when we talk about, how does society influence you? I think it influences you in ways you can't even comprehend. I think it goes beyond the human mind, I would say. Just for like a surface level introduction there. Yeah, or not? What do you think, Arjun?
Well, what I want to say is that we are society. So, we always try to make society like a third person, but we are society. We make our own decisions, and you can raise your kids the way you want to. You can homeschool them if you want to. You cannot even school them if you want to. And it always depends on your decisions, what you want best for the kids. And I think as a group, we decided to do that, right? So that the kid can learn basic knowledge and, social skills in the beginning stages of life. And I guess it's like a massive majority that agreed on doing that, because it was like the best solution we found so far based on our evolution practices.
Well, that's the thing, right? How do you know it's the best solution, or if it's the government, right, that put it that way, or like policymakers?
Again, I want to say that we are the government too.
Right, to a certain extent, right? Because you have policymakers, right? You're not making the policy. Like, what makes it mandatory to go to school till the age of 16 in Canada? Yeah. Right, and majority of people don't homeschool their kids. So an immigrant that comes to Canada is not going to homeschool their kid. They're going to do what majority of people are doing around them, right? So you're in this, like, you're kind of forced to make it. You think you have control, but you don't, because it's like an automatic type of what is my friend doing next to me? when you're doing a test, you're kind of looking at what other people are doing. You're always looking at what other people are doing, and that's going to have an impact on you.
And it's not always people. You're also looking at what nature is doing also. So we're always influenced, and that's human nature to be that way, to be influenced and to be inspired, or to make decisions based on our experiences and the way we see the world in colors. So it's not really a negative trait. But you should also know that you do have, you always have control over your decisions.
No, I think for me, I think it's more an illusion of control, right? Like you think that the decision you're making is actually independent on you, but it's so much more impacted. I feel like there's two realms that kind of go in my mind here. It's the others make you or you make yourself. So this is like a huge question in philosophy and existential philosophy. Is like, how much do other people make you versus how much you make yourself intrinsically? And I like to find in the formal one where others make you more than you make yourself, right? You can never distinguish yourself from others. Impossible. It's impossible. You're right when you're born. You're part of the community. You're part of the community. You can never be just your single identified individual. Others make you more than you make yourself. I always believe in this.
Okay, but I want to say, what is a decision? Decision is very complex, right? It's an amalgamation of many different factors that come into play. So it's not like you're making, even if you were in isolation, you're still making decisions based on the colors of the room that you're in an isolated situation. And what else did you say? You said like your decision.
It's gonna be always like the color thing. Like I just want I think
like
the distinguish between here is like people and society and nature, right? Like there's things that are further from nature and there are things that are closer to nature.
Society is part of nature.
No, it's not. I would say it's further away from nature. I would say society is more
like animals too live in societies.
Sure, but there are societies that are closer to nature and there are societies that are further from nature, and I think human civilization is
nature?
Further from nature.
What is nature?
Right. So like waterfalls, plants,
Farms.
The sun. I think these things are considered nature.
So you're saying if a dog, let's say, had enough brain power to build his own house, he's strayed away from nature?
Yeah, that's why like society tends to stray away from nature. For sure, yeah, knowledge is a huge...
Inversely...
Well, not necessarily knowledge. It's... Because the way you view nature is when it becomes a more of a resource rather than your cultivation, right? So I think nature doesn't become nature anymore is because when you start to use it as a resource, right? The more heftily you use nature as a resource on the knowledge, the further you stray away from it. Because animals and plants and things, they use nature as a symbiotic relationship where the nature gets help from you and you get help from nature. But the further you use it as a resource to extract things from it, the further you stray away from it.
So being because let's say if you're being not progressive as an animal, we are animals.
Right.
You are in touch with nature.
It's not necessarily about progression.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about progression. I don't know, Matt, what do you think? And you're just keeping me out of the conversation.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like the debate. So we talked about illusion of choice, right? Like first, like illusion of choice. Like, do we even have choice? Like, we have a baby's born. Right away, you're like, is it a girl or a boy? Right? And then depending if it's a girl, you're going to put dresses. And if it's a guy, you're going to put pants. You're going to give them cars. You're going to give the other one dolls. So already in a young age, you are provided by symbols and telling you who you are, what you are, right? So right away, it's like, do you really even have a choice with your gender? That's why this whole like gender equality stuff is coming up right now, right? Then it's like, obviously you mentioned schools. So it's like everyone has to go to school. There's good parts of it because you're getting knowledge. That's like the ultimate thing. But then it's also kind of being like, okay, you have to wake up at this time. There's lunch at this time. And it's like discipline. It gives you this disciplinary aspect. But are we actually like supposed to be that disciplined? Like, can we just listen to our body? Like wake up when we want to wake up, eat when we want to eat, play with dirt. Maybe some days we don't want to play with dirt. Maybe
Right.
some days we want to sit and read, right? But we are further away from that nature. For me, is like nature of your body.
Right.
And
I want to eat in class,
Yeah.
for example, right? Super
yeah, sometimes
taboo.
you're not
Give me
hungry
that.
at lunchtime.
Yeah,
But it's like
for
no,
sure.
you have to eat
at
now.
lunchtime.
Time.
Well, can I go to the bathroom? Why didn't you go at lunchtime?
Lunchtime, right? And it's like
Like,
you're
what?
it's like you're treating
that's community, right?
you're treating to disrespect, dishonor your own feelings in order to be accepted by society. And I think this is really, like, I love that we want to be part of a community and be part of a collective, but I think it also takes away that inner knowledge that we could have if we were not part of
Right. I think
a collective.
the negative implications
Yeah.
are not as focused as the
And
positive
what you
ones.
said about then how we further away from nature, it's true, because I realized when I was living in the mountains, I was like, okay, I have to go to bed at a certain hour because the sun set and I have to wake up with the sun. And I was like, I was feeling so liberated, because and then I was like, oh my God, so many people stay up all night in the city using electricity, going against nature and also against their rhythm, you know, like pushing themselves so much. And we can do that. We don't even realize that we are doing it, you know, whereas in the mountains, people will be like, whoa, it's so late, like what's happening, you know? And we can do it. We can actually drug ourselves in these ways and push against nature, right? And is it always good? Like, yes, it's progression, right? We're getting more time.
At what cost, though?
We're getting more this. And so, but we kind of strayed away, like, so do you think that it's influenced, it's influenced, the illusion of choice by society?
Heavily.
And you don't think that that we're influenced by society?
Well, I'm what I'm saying is that decision, in itself,
Or in choices?
is an amalgamation of a bunch of things, right? So there'll be society. You want to make the right decision based on what, in society, or let's say you want to paint your room. So what color is it currently? And then you come with a decision. It's not like just one thing, right? So it's an amalgamation, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but so the question becomes like, do you actually have a choice, or is it because of all of these things, the influential factors, right? Like, what about intrinsic value, intrinsic decision making? As in, if you have no external pressures, what decision would you make intrinsically?
What is external pressure, though? You
Extra-
always
like,
have
exactly,
pressure in
exactly.
some
So you can
form.
never remove it.
Yeah.
So do you think like human beings, as an intrinsic being, if they don't have any of these pressures,
From
how
society.
would that influence decision making? Right? So decision making in it of itself, right? So decisions in it of itself without any external
Yeah. Then
pressure.
you remove the definition of decision.
implication. So it is an illusion then, because decisions are only there if the other one is there, which is the external things, the external factors. But so you're saying as long as you
But
remove that,
that's
then
not
decisions
an
are.
illusion. That's just a definition.
So right, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that is there a meaning of choice in it of itself? A meaning of choice in and of itself without any external implications? Or does that go away?
Like, do we have control of our lives, or are we just responding to external forces?
That's individual.
Right, but it's not, because you're always. How do you remove yourself from that? You can't.
But why would you wanna? And if you do, you would. Then there is no decision.
Well, that's exactly it. So, in if we really define decision and choice making without, we can't really define it without external circumstances.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're intertwined,
But
which
there's
is what I'm trying to get at.
There's no illusion. That's just the definition of decision.
Well, it's an illusion in terms of if it goes away when there's no
Societal pressure.
Yeah, then in that case, it's an
But
illusion because you think you have.
But societal pressure is just one aspect of a decision.
Sure, yeah, for sure. But what has more weight, right? Societal pressure, I would say, has the most weight in
But that
decision
depends
making.
on decision and individuality. Who are you as a
True.
person?
But how could
And
you
what is the
separate that?
decision? And what is the decision? And who are you as a person? Like, are you a person that follows what society has to do, and what is that decision based on? Is it affecting directly the society?
But you can't separate it. Like you're always going to be influenced by it. Like you're made by it. The moment you're born. it's impossible to separate yourself from it and say that, oh, I'm against society. Even if you do make that terminology that you're against society,
You need the society.
The only reason why you're against it is because there's a society to begin
yeah.
with.
Exactly.
That because there's this rules and
like
regulations
Batman
to begin with.
exists because of Joker.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. But what if we were to wish all this away? Right? Then what is it that you are yourself, and what is the choice of itself? There isn't any. And that's why it becomes an illusion.
Obviously, because yourself
it becomes like a play.
Is an amalgamation of all the experiences and all the people and all the society and all the colors that you see.
Right. So
the people you talk.
So now I would like to get into value. Like, does your value go away because all these other things go away, or do you think that intrinsic value is still there? Because we said choice goes away, right? But does value go away? So does the value of a human go away because of all these external pressures, because of societal pressures?
What is human value? What do you care
like
about?
human value,
Ethics?
intrinsic value.
Like your morals?
Yeah, I guess you could say morals, but it's more like what's your value in this world without any type of choice or decision? Do you contain any value? Or is it just based off of external?
Then you just value. You're the only one that's going to value yourself based on what you want. No one's going to tell you that this guy's a good person, right? You're going to be like, oh, I'm a good person, because there's no one there.
Nobody wants to be a bad person too.
Right.
No, but what I'm trying to get at is
a bad person can think that they're good,
which they mostly do.
But they're really bad, right?
Right, and a bad person.
According to society norms, right? Like if you steal, they're gonna put you in jail. So that's why people don't steal.
Right.
But if you take away that punishment, will people start stealing?
I don't know.
No.
That's another philosophical question to go into, right? Like, do we need the government to control our? Do we need the government?
We are the government, and we agreed that stealing is bad because it's.
But we are not really the government. Like, you don't make. What policies have you made yourself? Like, what policies or like things that?
Because we're in a community, so it's obviously
Our
not going to
ancestors.
cater to every.
Like the
single
idealistic
buddy.
government.
It's not gonna care.
The idealistic government is that you're the government and you are but you're not in reality.
Well, it's because of our ancestors, right? It's like we're nothing without our ancestors too, right? Like we were born, London existed, Paris
But you
existed.
have to understand, any decision that is made in a community will not serve every single buddy. It's not
Right,
gonna,
so-
it's not going to be like.
So then not everybody's the
100%.
government, right?
Yeah. So it's
They're
but it's
not.
gonna be agreeable by the majority.
I don't think that's true. I don't think the majority of the decisions that are made today it's agreeable by the majority.
It is. It
there's
might
a
be
power.
slow.
There's a power
It
dynamic
might be
to it. There's a
slow
hierarchy.
because it's government and it's like slow, but it ultimately comes down to that. And as we progress as society and government, it gets better and better.
Plato believed that democracy was the sixth worst form of government,
Yeah, everyone has their.
and I kind of agree with that because I don't think the decisions are actually made by the people. It's made by it's a hierarchy, right? We have to, and again, it's an illusion that I'm the government and I'm also making decisions. But how much of it are you actually part of, right? Are you deciding that Israel and, for example, Palestine are going to war, right? Like, and then you're implicated, like you have implications to go to war, but you never made that decision.
Yeah.
Where is my voice then? Right, and probably majority of people don't even want to go to war, and that's why wars are so negative. Is because majority of people vote not to go, but then yet that they
Here
still
it is.
happen,
Yeah.
right? So then this is the government that's making.
So
those.
like if you know about Vietnam, majority did disagree, and America pulled out of Vietnam.
But that was very late, right?
But that's the government. That's how it just takes time to make decisions and stuff. But ultimately, can I ask you this? Are you not happy with the current government that you live in?
No, for sure, yeah. Like there are policies that I'm not happy with, and you feel kind of helpless as a citizen because you want to make changes, but you're limited.
Mm-hmm.
You're very much limited, right?
So you think you're very limited on making changes in society
For sure, yes.
in your current country. Of
At least,
Canada.
politically, for sure, yeah.
Can you give me an example of something that you want to change that you cannot change?
Well, the supporting of Israel, right?
Yeah, things like that, for sure, yeah. It's very difficult.
Are you well versed in that subject? Like, do you know what's going on really?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you can't have an opinion. Let's say I have no idea what's going on, and you're against war, right?
Yeah, you're against war, but war is complex. It's not like yeah, war is not a good thing, but it's also very complex.
Oh, for sure, yeah. But
So you need to understand the whole complexity of the situation to say that I don't want this war. Right? I don't want
But
this.
you know, I kind of want to go in this point that we are the government, and we were talking about, like, I want to mention how we are each other's reflection, right? We said it last year, like last episodes about dating, that anything that you see negative shows a reflection of you, right? So if we were to talk about this war stuff, it's always happened because war is against another nation, right? And you're protecting your nation. War has been happening since the beginning of mankind, right? So I was like digging deep inside, and I was like, okay, so this is a reflection of us, humanity, who we are. And in order for you to keep a culture, in order for you to have that, you need to be a little bit racist against another culture, being like, that's why wars happen, right? So if you understand it in that way, what Israel is doing kind of, or why wars happen, is because they're protecting a culture. They're protecting their identity, which has been going on since forever. And that's how cultures stay, or else we all become the same.
no, Palestine too is protecting their identity as
Exactly.
well, right? Yeah.
So that's a reflection of just human nature,
Yeah.
of society, culture, of how humans actually been going about.
Yeah.
It's just really recent that we're all equal. That's really recent that everyone speaks English, you know, and we're like a globalized society.
Yeah.
But that wasn't always the case, and there was wars because you had to protect yourself against that invasion, because they're taking away your culture, they're taking away your roots. And how do you, because if you were to be like, no, we're all equal, then it's just, there's no concrete.
Yeah.
So there's a paradox in that, right?
Yeah.
So-
I mean, even if we remove all religions and all these beliefs that we have, we'll still be fighting over something like, oh, this guy has a mustache and this guy
Because
doesn't.
we cannot have a universal acceptance of things, because we're individually so different. Collectively, this is like a utopia that we can be all the same, but we're
Yeah.
not all the same.
Yeah.
And I don't think that
And
we would
there's
be
a beauty
allowed
in
to be
that.
the same.
And there's a beauty in that too.
You know, so maybe that is an illusion also, that we can be the same, right? But I think we kind of sidetracked on that. Is there anything you want to add, Gervit? I feel like you want to say something.
No, I'm okay. I'll continue.
I guess we can end it by saying like, there is no concrete answer to this.
Yeah, we're
It's
just
opinion.
So illusion of choice. Do you really have a choice? I think that when we're young, we don't even question things, right? We're just like doing what our parents tell us, right? I think this illusion of choices becomes more complex as we get older, and when we start to understand more of what's happening around us. And that's that's the beauty, where we can, with self-awareness, be like, wait, where is this stemming from? Like, do I want to get married because my parents expect me to get married? Or do I really believe in this value of marriage and two people together, for example, right? Yeah. Like, do I really want to be doing a doctor degree, or is it because my parents want me to do a doctor degree, right? So I think that kind of helps you to distinguish where your choices are coming from. And control, I think you talked about that, right? Like, we cannot just run wild and free. We are living in society, and we have to kind of go by the rules, or else you're going to get locked up, right? So I think in certain aspects we have control, but certain aspects you can't. I can't go rob people just because I want to. You know, someone pisses me off, I can't kill them, right? Like, I don't have control. Like, I would feel like, oh man, I really don't like this person, I want to kill them, but I can't. So, but that's...
You could.
But I'm going to jeopardize my own...
You
Yeah.
still have a choice, right?
Yeah.
No, but the choices have consequences.
Yeah. Choices have consequences, and the consequences are laid out by the society you're in.
Right.
And then it could go macro and micro too.
So I guess the solution to this is, or I don't know if this is a real solution, but it's like, I remember when I was young, we used to only cook chicken in the store. And I thought everybody had a store and they would cook chicken in the store. And then when I grew older, I realized that people actually cook chicken at home. Right, but for us, we cooked it in the store because we didn't want to sabotage our
Kitchen at home, because mom is vegetarian.
Right.
And she didn't allow that.
She didn't allow that, exactly. So
I don't remember that, but okay.
really?
Yeah.
No, I remember that very vividly.
Wow.
So that
I guess because I knew.
So that was like
No.
automatically
So
influenced.
what it really was we were to eat chicken or any type of meat in isolation.
Right.
So it would be like if we get McDonald's, we have to eat it at the store or like a separate room.
Oh really? I thought we can bring McDonald's at home.
And
No, we can bring chicken at home. We just can't cook
Cook
it.
it, yeah.
we can't cook it
because
no.
the utensils.
I remember I would eat it. We would have to eat it in a different room.
Anyways, it was something like that, right? So then I thought everybody did this, right?
Yeah.
But as I grew older, I realized that people actually cook chicken or beef or whatever at home. And so that then expanded my levels of choice. It was like, oh, I don't have to do what my parents are telling me to cook chicken at the store. I can also cook it at home. So in order to, because you're always going to be influenced by the way you grew up and all those things. But if you actually read about other cultures or visit other cultures
100%.
and see what they do,
Yeah.
I think that's going to broaden your horizons,
Yeah.
right? Because then you're going to be like, hey, not everybody does it this way, right?
Exactly.
You know, traffic violations in Indonesia are crazy. Everybody goes through the red light. There's no regulation. People pass from the left, pass from the right. But in Canada, if you're going to do that, you're going to get a ticket.
Yeah.
So there's different societies that do it very differently from each other. So the more you open your brain, the more you read if you don't have the chance to travel or kind of talk to
Knowledge.
other people, then you understand that, oh, you actually do have a choice. Because not everybody does it this way. You've only learned to do it this way because you've grown up like that.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's the way to kind of escape it is to read and talk to people and, you know, add more tools kind of to your thinking.
Yeah, knowledge is for me freedom. Like, that's why every time I try to have as much knowledge and I go to villages or something, I try to speak about it. And a lot of people tell me, like, Meta, why are you wasting your time speaking about these abstract ideas to these people? They won't get it. And I was like, well, maybe they never had access to this knowledge. You know, maybe they won't absorb everything I'm saying, but maybe it will be in back of their mind. Maybe they will think about the choices they have. So even when I go to the West, I talk about arranged marriage. Because, you know, it's like such a taboo. Ooh, arranged marriage is so bad. And I'm like, you know what? No. And I like to play the devil's advocate. Why? Because I like to expand people's mind from black and white. And I love doing that. I love it. I just love doing that. Even though maybe it won't be my choice, but I'm just putting it out there that could be a choice.
Right.
You know? And sometimes it's hard because then you think you have the... But this was really interesting. If I'm gonna go to, we were watching Matrix, right? And the latest one, and Bug was like, "Choice is an illusion. You always know the right answer."
Right.
So that really hit me because I'm always like, "Oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this?" Because I have all this knowledge about the world and things and stuff. But now I think once you have all this knowledge of the world, I mean, you can never end. But in certain topics. Then to make a choice, you have to go internally and feel that gut feeling.
Right. That's
And
where the intrinsic choice...
That's when the intrinsic choice comes in. And I feel like some people think they mistake either because the lack of choice that, oh, this is the instinctive choice that they have, like this is the true choice. But that's where it gets tricky. If you were to provoke them and give them more choices, would that still be the instinctive choice?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, you can. I think you can never separate it, but you can come closer to it.
Yeah. But then you get dizziness from all these choices
It's
too.
overwhelming. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's also like a paradox too.
But there's never going to be the right choice.
Right.
Right.
So okay, so do you believe there's never no such thing as a right choice?
No. Even making no decision, even making no choice is a choice, right? So
Yeah.
you can never get out of it.
And
Yeah.
what about you, Richard? Do you think there's such thing as making a right? Like what she said was like illusion is a choice. You already know the right. Like the right path, the right choice, I guess. Do you believe in that sentence?
I mean, there's a right choice individually. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like your own truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also believe in that. But I think that require a lot of introspection and a little bit of alone time. And I find that life is about going externally, learning all the knowledge, and then taking it back and coming inside and putting it all together. So you need a balance between the two. Like if you're just at home inside, you have no idea what the hell is going on. And society is always changing too, right? The expectations are always changing. The tools are always changing. And if you're just stuck with just the limited tools you got from your childhood or your community, you know, but if you're too much out there, then you're just getting influence of validation of what people want. So I think there's like a balance between the external and internal part. So going into that, like making a choice and achievement, do you think that, how do we measure personal success? Like, Do you think it's through our own standards, or are those imposed by society?
Well, I mean, like, you're always going to be celebrated externally, right? But that's never going to reflect what you did internally, I find. Like, the internal battles that you face are not going to be celebrated, right? So, like, you meditating for 10 days straight, like, people might not even notice, right? So it's a very internal thing, like, and it just because there's no output of it doesn't mean that it's not an achievement. So, we like to measure things that are measurable, right? Making money, having good grades, publishing papers, things like that. So these are very easy metrics to measure, but they never reflect internal achievements, right? I feel like it's very separate. They're very separate. So the things that are celebrated outside, you might have put zero effort, but yet you got to it, and then it's celebrated, and you're like the awesome person or the hero. But the battles that you fight within are so much more important than the battles that you win externally. Because the battles internally really reflect your character and who you are. And it's independent of what other people value or don't value. It's what you value in of it yourself, right? So, these personal achievements that you have to really give yourself credit for them, even if no one else gives credit to them, right? Just because, nobody thinks it's huge or whatever, or if it's a huge implication, but for you it is, right? Like, in that moment, not getting angry, or in that moment, not controlling your reaction. These things are never going to be celebrated. You're not gonna have an external outcome for it, and that's okay. You have to be okay with that. But to be so self-aware and to understand yourself, that's a huge achievement for yourself when you go to bed at night. That's really important. That I did this today, and you're gonna have ups and downs that no one's gonna know about, right? You never read about the ups and downs and things like that, but you know what you've accomplished yourself. So you have to be very careful with things that society and people and your parents and your friends, even like your family members do celebrate, but like what you value intrinsically is completely different. I find.
I completely agree. I want to say things that people praise you on should be taken so lightly,
right?
So lightly, it doesn't even matter,
right?
And that's why I hate celebrating birthdays and things like that. It has no value, and what should hold value is what you've done personally, and with no one knowing anything. Right. But I also want to say the things that you do internally that no one knows, it does come out as a character trait externally.
And maybe in the long term.
In the long term, sure. It could be in the short term. It doesn't matter, but it does come out.
But it doesn't have to come out.
It doesn't have to, but it most likely will.
I guess in certain ways.
I mean, if you meditate every day,
and you don't get angry,
and it's been a year, it's gonna show through your personality.
I guess people that know you.
Yeah.
Right.
That know you, but even if the people that don't know you, they'll be like, "Oh, this guy talks more softly, and he doesn't talk much, and he's like more aware of little things, like like he'll do things."
Right.
And people will actually start to compliment you or tell you that.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is that should never be a reason to.
For sure.
Right, and then just because you're not getting that,
for sure. But I'm just saying, like
let's say
the internal battles is what makes you the character that you are.
Right, but the character you are to yourself.
Yeah,
but these internal battles, don't you feel like, okay, I have like two different thoughts here. Like, when you're a kid and you want to get that A and then she puts a sticker. So you're like, I want that sticker. So you're gonna do the internal studying, to get that sticker. So nobody knows how much you studied, but it's gonna show with your external thing. But maybe that motivated you, that sticker, to work, to do the
that's
internal.
Why the sticker exists.
Right.
Right.
And for the longest time, I actually got trapped into this. Like, I love validation. Like, my moon is Leo, and I love being part of the community. I love to get validated. And so many times I made decisions just because what it looks like on the external. And looking back now that I'm maybe more mature, I'm like, oh, damn. But at the same time, I feel like it's not a waste, because it pushed me to do things that maybe I wouldn't have done if I didn't get that validation. Because I would have been too lazy. Or I'd be like, oh, who cares? But because it's like, oh, that little sticker, I'm like, oh my God, I want it.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, intention matters a lot. Why you do things matter a lot more than what you produce. Like,
and
what you achieve, right? Or what you produce or whatever. Yeah, the result, right? It's like, why did you decide to get that sticker? Did you want it to just impress that teacher? Or is it because you actually value with
Or what they're teaching you,
what
the
that
topic.
stick represents, right?
Yeah.
So your relationship to that sticker matters a lot. That relationship to money, to grades matters a lot. That
Yes.
relationship to marriage, getting married, these things, the relationship in and of itself matters more.
This is key.
More than the outcome itself. It's the intention that you do it with, because a lot of people have different intentions and they do things kind of mindlessly, right? They don't really question it. They just want to get the money at the end of the day. They just want to get that grade. It's nothing more than that, nothing more little than that. They just want to get laid, right? They just want to have sex for having sex, right? So it's like, what's the intention you do things with, right?
Yeah.
And that intention, I think it takes a long time, because in youth, they don't teach you intentions, and they don't
Right.
teach you that relationship, how to cultivate. They're like, just get that sticker.
Mhm.
Why didn't you get that sticker?
Right.
You know, and they have parent-teacher interviews, and they're like, you know, your son didn't get that sticker. And then the parents are like, why didn't you get that sticker?
Mhm.
Instead of saying, like, do you actually like math? Like, do you enjoy doing math? Maybe that's why you didn't get that sticker.
Right.
Right? But nobody has that conversation.
Mhm.
And I feel like, going back to what we are society, you know, like, having money, having a marriage are good things, right? And it's hard to describe that. So it's like we put the sticker, like marriage, money, let's say.
Mhm.
But the most important part of life is the journey towards that sticker.
Right.
It's that journey, right? So some people just want to get that sticker. Like, they'll marry anybody that will say yes, even though they don't feel that love, they don't feel that compassion, because now they have a title of marriage. And they're walking around like, hey, I'm married. Whereas some people are not getting that sticker because they know the value of that relationship. They know the value of what that sticker means, right?
But that's the thing, though. That sticker means something different for everybody.
But I think that initially that sticker existed because I believe in love and good intention. I feel like it was made for that journey. But we're just so in need of validation in that sticker that we're like, okay, we'll just get it.
It's like a checklist.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
the checklist. It becomes like a...
Buying a house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The sentiment is so huge. Buying a house. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
find it comical almost.
Or buying a car. Buying
Right.
a car,
Right.
buying a house, getting married is like, if you don't do that, you're not living, man. Like, what are you doing? You know? It's kind of like, where are those stickers?
Right.
And then it's like, then if you don't have that, oh, you're failed.
But yeah, that's why journey is important, I find.
Yeah, but even
So
if you
is-
look at society today, and you look at the people that are successful, they never wanted to be famous. They never wanted to have the nicest car, the biggest
Exactly,
jets.
yeah.
They were just passionate people trying to do what they wanted to do. Like, look at Elon Musk, look at Justin Bieber. You think Justin Bieber was 5 years old and he was like, I want to be famous? He was just wanted to sing, bro, and he just had the talent to do it, and he did it, and he did it with heart. And those things, those stickers, those fame, the cars, they come as a byproduct of your passion and of what you love, and society still celebrates that, but people don't see it. People don't see it. People think it's like it's too hard for them, right? Because they never found what they love to do.
Right.
Or they
And-
never
and-
cultivated that relationship.
Right, and they see the shiny things and they just jump on it, right? It's like, oh, shiny car, I just want it. And this way people will think I'm really successful and I actually do love what I do. But really they don't, you know, and they just cut up with that, and that's the majority. But if you were to ask Elon Musk, he doesn't give a fuck if he drives this freaking Lamborghini or he has a private jet.
It's like a
He doesn't
byproduct.
care, bro. He just wants to change the world. And that's how, like, you know, the greatest people were in society, right? Like, even if you look at like Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Steve Jobs, you know, the guys that changed the world.
They had their own, you're saying they had their own internal
even-
measure of success?
Yeah, even athletes, right? Like Michael Phelps and Jordan,
Virat Kohli.
Virat Kohli, you know, they just want to play cricket because they just want to hit a ball, you know, they just want to dunk a dunk, and
Right.
all those things are just a byproduct, and we should always look at them as byproduct and not as the
Yeah,
goal,
the goal.
or the achievement or the things that you want, because
Yeah, exactly. That's why it comes full circle about your internal drive, your internal expectations, you know.
But I
like
know so many...
celebrating those.
I know so many people that are like doing shitty jobs and are sad, but then they're like, oh, I have a house. Come to my house. Look at my house.
and you know what, I think it's fine for those, because not everybody has the capability to find what they like to do, and you know, to
Do it with full
chase
heart?
it. Do it with full heart and courage.
Yeah,
Like,
it takes a lot of courage.
and you know,
That's true.
it beats you up, bro. Like you'll get beat up, and it's a lonely road, and people don't want to face it, so they're like, screw it, I'll just do it, whatever it takes to get that car. or that house.
Or that validation from external.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I don't know if you guys remember, there's like a old picture of like an iceberg, and it's like the work that you do under the iceberg versus what people see, and it's just the top.
Right.
So I feel like that kind of sums up a little bit for
Yeah,
me.
it's important to know people's journeys, I find.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know? How they got where they are. Just because they have a nice car, just because they have a nice house. You have to know them personally. I think personality is huge.
For me, the biggest thing that I always tell myself and other people is like, make mistakes. Like, I even made like some stupid reel on my Instagram about like how we're living in like this toxic positivity, you know, like positive, but it's like sweating in the gym, like the sweat, that's what makes your muscles become muscles, you know, like making a mistake, taking that risk, falling, getting up again. But nobody talks about failures. Nobody talks about mistakes. But that is so crucial for me being successful.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Yeah, you have to fail a million times, right? I mean, failure is inevitable. You're gonna fail.
Yeah.
I find.
Like I think when people break up, they're like, "Oh no," for me, it's like, "Oh wow, amazing!" You know, you ended a new chapter. You learned something. Like, I find we should really celebrate
Failures.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There should be a spin to failure. Yeah.
Like like Nietzsche even talked about this, right? He's like, if you go to a high school party reunion, you meet a couple that got married in high school, or would you talk to the guy who quit his job, moved to Germany, then he's a sailor, then he got a house there? Like, who would you rather talk to, right? Like, you can feel the spirit of a person through all the mistakes and the scars they have.
Right.
And I think for me, that's like true success and like living. And maybe you won't get a sticker for it, but yeah. And I think that takes a lot of courage to know that you are your own sticker. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But because I think we want to be part of this collective, that we're just get caught up in it. So I guess I'm trying to say, like, guys, be mindful of that too, right? Yeah. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I mean, choices inevitably are gonna make it to that sticker, you know, to that journey. So that's why it's important.
I guess we touched this too, like external validation versus internal validation. Like, where do we draw the line between seeking external validation and nurturing our internal self-worth, right? So that's what kind of sums it up. Do you think that we can learn to accept ourselves without relying on society approval and external achievements?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough, right? Because I feel like you're always influenced externally. So self-acceptance, how much do you accept yourself versus how much society accepts you? You know, especially your longing for a community.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a balance, you know, like you can't completely ditch the community, but you can't completely be part of it and not question it, right? You can't be like a sheep for it. So, you know, I guess I don't know if this really answers it, but it's a balance, I guess, and everybody's individual balance is different, but it's a tough one. Honestly, it's not. I think it's think about it a little bit more. I don't know, Arshad, what you say.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you can always think you're the best at something until someone says that you're not.
I have the opposite sometimes, you know, like sometimes I'm like alone and okay, I like to be alone. And then sometimes I go out there and I'm like, I am who I am, and I see the differences I can make or the conversations I have or the knowledge I have, and I'm like, oh wow, and it's only because of the other person that I can see a reflection of myself. And I'm like, oh wow, I am actually so knowledgeable, so wise. Like, I don't realize it, right? So my self-worth, like, I don't know what philosopher said, you probably remember, is like, there's no you without me. There's no me without
I think it was Jean-Paul Sartre.
Yeah. So sometimes I'm out there and I like, either it could be like draining, but then I'm like, oh my God, I feel like really like validated. I'm like, oh wow, I have all this inside of me, like, you know, and is that count as like external validation? Like, I'm not looking for it, but it's like, I just become more self-aware of my qualities.
Yeah, you need the other there to be there in order for you to know yourself. Right? Yeah. So that's why, like, the self-acceptance part, it's going to be intertwined with community acceptance. Like, not necessarily that you're also community accepted, that you self-accept, kind of the opposite, where because you're different from community, you self-accept.
Yeah, maybe because I like to be...
Your individuality comes out more in a crowd than it does by yourself.
Yeah.
Right? without any crowd, there isn't any you.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm known for like a crowd entertainer. You know, I'm like a clown or whatever. But I only get that clown tag is because the audience exists. I'm nothing without my audience, right? I'm an entertainer to those people.
Do you feel like you're obliged to do it because
No,
that's what they're expected of you?
Yeah, to a certain extent, it becomes expected because it's repeated so many times that people expect me to act a certain way or be that clown or make people laugh. It comes naturally sometimes, but sometimes it's forced. But it's so easy for me, and I feel like people struggle with it. But yet, like it comes very, very easy to make people laugh. Like you put me in a group of any type of people, I'm gonna make them laugh, make them have a good time. But internally, I'll be lacking. Because I'll be like, I just did it for them mostly, not for myself, you know, because like I just want to make people laugh or whatever. But I always have that weight to entertain people, you know, that weight to kind of make the conversation go, make people laugh, yada, yada, yada. It becomes like a natural act for me almost, you know? Yeah. But I don't feel drained when it's like people that are close to me. Then it's like, I just don't need to entertain. It's just natural.
Do you think when you feel drained, like now you come home, do you feel like, oh, I lost a little bit of my self-worth because I'm doing it out of society expectation?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, but it's also like a superpower. Like I try to look at it more positively than negatively, because it's like, oh, you can bring this to the table.
Yeah.
Imagine what else you can bring to the table.
And it's not like you're bringing negativity, you're bringing some positivity,
making people laugh and stuff. You know, like people always say, you know, oh, like dude, I had the best time in my life, and I was like, oh shit, nice. Like to me, that was just normal. Right, but you have to cultivate that energy and that type of passion, something where you're not losing yourself.
So ultimately makes you feel good.
Yeah, I mean, to like sometimes this drains me, right? Sometimes I'm like, this is kind of
just
useless.
With anything.
Yeah, but I guess I'm trying to learn how to make this more positive for myself, but also for the community.
Right.
For both, yeah.
I was gonna add something like, okay, so as a traveler, I find this really fun. So when I come to a new city, right, nobody knows me. I don't know anyone.
Right.
So I feel like really free, because I'm like,
you could be anybody, whatever.
Yeah, you know, and I'm very authentic with myself. So it's not like I'm changing roles everywhere I go, but I'm more authentic. You know, I'm like raw. And then as I start to stay in that place, like, you know, like 2 months, 3 months, now people start to know me. And then those people know other people, and then they're like, oh, do you know Meta? Do you know this? And then that's when I start to get a little bit like, okay, now I don't want to hang out outside. Because now it's like they're expecting something from me. They already have an image of me. They're already like putting this like, not like, okay, expectations, but I feel it. I feel they already have this image, and I can't be the authentic self that I was. And then I move to a new spot, and then I feel more free again. Like, okay, maybe not free, like maybe I would feel lonely, like I had my friends there, blah, blah, blah. But I rather have that freedom that nobody knows me than stuck in a society where there's like so much expectation that I have to, maybe because I do want a lot of validation and I love community and I'm aware of what the people need, that it does drain me sometimes. Because I do sacrifice my authenticity for the sake of the community or something like that.
Right.
So that's why maybe I'm a nomad more, because it's like a good part, but it becomes toxic for me when it's too much involved in society.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, Archie. What about you as a professional introvert?
Yeah, like you're probably the most
introvert. Probably the opposite here, you know. Like, I would not do things that I don't feel like doing, even if it's like making someone like more happy or like making a community more entertained. Like if I don't want to, then I won't do it.
And you don't feel guilty?
I don't feel guilty, but sometimes, yeah, I would. If I really love those people, for sure, I feel guilty and I try to do it. But ultimately, I don't. I know that I don't want to do something. I won't do it.
I find people respect you also. Like, I find that trait that you have, of like introvert, you do your own thing. Like, I'm very attracted to people like that. I'm like, wow. Hi guys. Unfortunately, we lost the video part of this podcast, but don't you worry, we do have the audio version. These guys have a sticking around on More Than Society because they don't care. They're so true to themselves. But at the same time, I feel like they don't have that. Because I find sacrifice is like a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Yeah, it does make you feel like, oh shit, I think they think I'm an asshole now.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that hurts.
Right.
Because I'm not trying
The
to be...
acceptance. Yeah. Yeah.
That's why it's more effective when it's like family, I think. Friends, really, really close friends. But if it's like just friends, and I don't give a shit.
Right.
Like it doesn't affect me. I don't care if you
Yeah,
think I'm
like,
an asshole.
Because you know I'm not.
I'm not an asshole. Like, I'm not. I just don't want to like be a clown just because, you know.
So again, I guess it's a balance and it's very individual, right? But that validation does exist. Like,
but I'll be a clown, and you know, if my mood is to be funny, then I'll be funny and I'll like say stupid things. But I won't force it. I won't force my mood to be a certain way.
Right.
Just to make people around me a lot more happier.
No, yeah, I know. I'm very guilty of that. For sure.
So,
I don't know. It just makes me feel worse in the long term.
So how do you think we can remain true to ourselves without having so much pressure from society?
You always have pressure from society, and you always have... the society will always exist. Right? How you do that, it's individual, man. Like, it shouldn't cause you so much trouble to defeat that. If it is, then that means you're not supposed to be.
Right.
You're not that person.
That's a good point. Like, if you make a choice and then you don't sit well with it, but everybody else around you is well.
Right.
And vice versa. Like, if you make a choice and then the society doesn't, like, I think then you should take a time to reflect, because then there should be a balance between the two, right? Where you're not pushing the society too much, but society is also very like large sample, right? You can never make everyone happy. Right. Like, everyone's always gonna have something to say, right? Like that story with the dog, the donkey, and the father and the son, right? Where the father is like with the son and the donkey, and they're going from village to village, and the first village is like, you guys have a donkey, why don't you sit on it? Like, hello, why are you walking, all three of you? So then they sit on the donkey. They pass by another village, and then the villagers are like, oh my god, look at those guys, they're abusing the poor donkey. You know? So then the father is like, okay, son, you can sit on it, I'll get out. The next village, they're like, wow, look at this son, he's so selfish, his poor old, you know, father can't, like, he's like walking and he's so selfish sitting on the donkey. And then like the third village is like, then they switch and the father is sitting, and then they're like, oh wow, look, this father is such an ass, he's like making his son walk while the donkey is like, you know, while the son is walking. And you know, so it's like society always maybe will have something to say, criticize something, you know, so we always have to kind of remember that too. Like, yeah, you're gonna buy the house, but someone's gonna be like, really, this is your house, you don't have a bigger house? You know, like, if you get married, it's like, oh, you don't have kids, and then you have a kid, and then you're like, gonna have another kid? You know, like, what's cool? Like, I guess it's like, that's the game, but you have to know what's the right decision, like, that you can be satisfied with yourself.
Right. At peace
with yourself. Do you have anything to add?
No.
So I guess like I can, like, that kind of sums it up, right? Like, you're breaking free from the illusions by knowing that society's always gonna have something to say all the time. They're gonna tell you what to do. Like, it's there, it's always there for you. And I was talking to mom, and she said a really good point yesterday. She's like, you know, if someone out there is ready to make you mad, so be happy, be peaceful. Like, that is your job, because someone out there they're ready to make you mad, you know? Like, be happy, send joy, because somebody already is gonna make you sad. You know, like, so I think like my biggest thing is like, always fill your glass up and just give. Like, give from your heart truly, without the need of something. Like, you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, like you were saying.
You know, like, do you think that we can escape the Matrix? Do you guys think like there's an escaping the Matrix? You know, this like super famous on Instagram and stuff. So
What is the matrix?
That's a good point too.
Like,
The society?
yeah, I guess, or like societal norms, I guess, or
Well,
like,
going back to the first thing that I said, we are society.
right? So, like, do you think a matrix exists?
We can build. You can. Yeah. I mean, you can change society if you want to.
No, but like escape it.
Yeah. Well,
Like in terms of like Instagram reels and stuff, like making it.
escape it where you want to live off the grid.
Yeah, sure. Or like, well, people define it differently, but one way would be living off the grid. One would be getting rich and making money, so you don't have to work 9 to 5. That's one way people say that they've escaped society.
That's American. That's the American matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. The American matrix. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. What else? I don't know any other ways people say escaping the matrix.
I think. Okay. So.
I don't know. I think that's about the two would be like living off the grid or making enough money. And
I'm gonna go.
So you could
9 to
live
5.
off the grid. You do have. You could.
I find.
Yeah, but is that really escaping the matrix?
Not really, but it's close.
Okay, for me, I'll just say this, that everything is an illusion. Like, even the matrix itself is an illusion. So you escaping the matrix is like, it's another part of the matrix that you're in, that you think that you escaped. I think the matrix is this human experience, and you cannot escape it. Like, I used to think that, oh wow, I'm spiritual now. After the fire, I can see the world in a different way. But then I go deeper and I'm like, that itself also is an illusion.
Yeah.
You know? And that doesn't make me better than the person that's working 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Because I have my own matrix that I have to constantly fight or whatever. And they might have... So everyone's journey is the same, but we're all part of this human experience, which is the matrix. Because everything is like Maya.
Right.
You know?
What's Maya?
Maya is like illusion. It's like... just distraction, like what even Buddhists talk about, right? Like even hate, love, sadness, happiness, it's just an illusion. Like back in when you're a kid, you're happy about that, but will you still be happy about that? But that doesn't mean that didn't exist,
right.
That happiness. But it's not true right now, and it fades. So also just to have fun with it, like take things like lightly, and if you just take it as like a light, I think then you can actually even make the clear decisions because you're not too much in your head and logical.
And just the word matrix, it's so like
heavy.
Not heavy. It's so abstract.
Right.
And you're trying to fight something so abstract. It's just causing you anxiety for no reason.
It's like you're punching the air, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I fought that ghost. Look at me.
Yeah.
And then other person is gonna agree. Like, remember, society is always ready to agree or disagree with you. So you're gonna have a niche that's gonna be like, good job, and other person gonna be like, why are you fighting the air?
Yeah. Now it's cool to go against.
But what's real? We won't even know.
Right.
Now it's cool to go against the matrix, right?
Yeah.
So that is the matrix.
That's exactly what I was
changing.
thinking.
Yeah. It's interesting between Plato's cave and the Matrix.
Yeah.
You guys know Plato's cave, right?
You can explain to the audience, I think.
Plato, he wrote like a book on Plato's cave where basically people were stuck in a cave, they're chained, so they have chain around their neck and they have chain on their hands and they're sitting on a chair so they can't move. And what's projected in front of them are sort of statue shadows, puppet shadows from people behind. And that's what they view all their life. And one day what happens is that one of the peoples are able to escape from the cave, so they go upstairs and they see the real world. They see real sunlight, they see real animals, they see real trees, they feel the grass. And then when they come downstairs back into the cave, he tries to tell the people that are stuck watching the puppet shadows that there's this whole new world out there. The people that are stuck in the chairs ridicule him. They tell him that you're so stupid, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, there's no real world out there. Just sit your ass down here, but they make fun of him. But that's like the real philosopher in Plato's mind, is the person that went out there and is trying to enlighten the others. And then the same thing in the Matrix movie where when they leave the Matrix. But the difference between the two is that in Plato's cave, when he escapes, he sees a beautiful world. In the Matrix, when he escapes, he sees a really bad world. He sees a shit world controlled by machines. And everything is sad and everything is gruesome and everything is rainy. But the Matrix was a lot better. It was a better lifestyle because at least he was ignorant to all these things. So you always have to question if it's worth, I think you guys touched upon this, if it's even worth fighting against the Matrix, right? You're losing a lot. It's a lot of cost on you.
By Matrix, I think we can replace it by society expectations.
Yeah,
Right, that would be the closest to.
Yeah.
Because it's like you get the sticker
Right.
You're happy, but then the teacher is happy, your parents are happy.
Right. All this validation.
Yeah, you got it. What's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
What's the problem, man?
Yeah.
So
it's funny in Plato's cave as well, when the test that they do is to guess what the shadow figures are representing, and the people that are stuck on the chairs are able to guess really correctly. They're like, oh, that's an elephant, that's a dog. But the guy that escaped and comes downstairs and tries to guess it, but he can't because his eyes are not tuned to darkness. So he can't guess it properly. So they're like, oh, this guy is so dumb, he can't even guess the elephant shadow.
But
that's just, why should we believe him?
Yeah, that actually,
it's such a good metaphor. I find that like it's so
it's
exciting.
very sexy actually, because honestly, that's the thing. Like
they're winning in that realm, but
when I was a kid, I used to hate this term ignorance is bliss, because like I mentioned before, knowledge is freedom. You should get knowledge. Oh my God, that's the best way to know your decisions. But I realized as I got older, I'm like, oh my God, ignorance is bliss, because you're just in your little bubble and you're happy, and like, why burst it with knowledge, right? And I was watching like Indian matchmaking or Jewish matchmaking, right? And
there's Jewish matchmaking as
well. I watched
it
last year with my Jewish friend, and she was explaining to me, and there was one girl, and she's very orthodox, very nice. She's like listening to her mom, doing the thing. And I was like, damn, I wish I could be like this girl, you know? She's like happy in her little world that her mom taught her, and this, and like my life, even though I have all this knowledge, it's so complicated, you know? What decisions do I make? Is that the right decision? But for her, it's like, okay, yeah, this is what the community needs. That's what I'm going to do. And then you do play the role. And I realized in India, that's why people are happy, right? They're like married. Okay, I'm a wife, going to cook, going to be a nice guy. I'm going to provide. And it's not complicated. It's simple. And then you die, right? If everything is illusion, I think,
why play it?
Yeah, like sometimes maybe with this choices and knowledge, we complicate it, right? But that's also the red pill and the blue pill. Like, do you want to take that knowledge, or do you want to be ignorant? And I think that's always that question, or the choice. But once you get that knowledge, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be like that Jewish girl.
No, you can't go back. Yeah, it's very difficult to go back. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like from being rich, like poor to rich is amazing, but going rich to poor, it's very difficult, right? Like, you're gonna be like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting. Like, escaping it or not escaping it, it's something I think you're gonna fight your whole life, you know. And in the micro level, not even the macro level. Like daily things.
Right. So I guess I would say that the illusion of choice, it gets more complicated as you get more knowledge.
Yeah, because you get more options.
Yeah, and versus like that orthodox person, her choices are very like limited, so she kind of has more of a chance to make the right choice.
But you know, in a way, people will say like monks too are stuck in their matrix.
Right.
They just grew up in the mountains. They only know all that. They don't know cars and the government
and the paying the bills
and paying the bills. Yeah, the taxes and all that. Right. So they're also limited by what they see. Right. They're also stuck in their own matrix. Right. So it's I don't think
we should be thinking about escaping the matrix. I think we should thinking about changing the matrix.
But do you think that giving everyone knowledge and freedom of choice is helping the matrix?
Cultivating that?
Yeah. Or is it causing more problem?
No, I think it's helping.
Yeah. Ultimately, yeah.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I think knowledge is the best way to help people.
Yeah, I agree too.
So I find teaching the most valuable ways to approach society and try to help people.
I think sharing experiences for me as like a traveler and asking questions too. Like, I like to put myself in the other person's shoe and not judge them like, oh, you're so pagan, you don't know this. It's like, no, I want to know your world. What makes you happy and why are you happy in this? Like, maybe you actually do know the knowledge on the other side, but you choose that.
Right.
And that's even more sexier for me. Because it's like you chose this simplicity and you don't even care. Like, sometimes you do, right? You don't care about that while you're just doing your thing.
Right.
So yeah, we went pretty deep. I think I like this like topics. Like,
let's hit up Finn's Beach Club. That's a matrix in and of itself.
Little Canggu is also a matrix. I mean, I just did a road trip to the mountain. It's like such a different vibe, you know. And
that's fun in and of itself. But I'm not gonna lie, it's fun. Right. It has something to it. I don't know. But yeah, anyways.
I mean, this is what the world is so beautiful. It has so many different colors and passions, you know. And I think in the end, we all just started doing decisions based on fear and love. And there's always this battle between the two. And it all depends, like, the emotion is the same. It's just like what the topics represents are just different.
Right.
Yeah. And I think in that way, we're all the same. Yeah, so just give love to each other and don't judge each other. Let people be in peace.
Let people be.
Let people be in peace. I think it's a good way also, and just learn from each other. Learn from each other's failures and share your failures. And
yeah,
there's no such thing as maybe right or wrong answers. But I don't know. I also am gonna go a little bit like spiritual and believe that everyone has their destiny and universe provides whatever you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I think randomness is the strongest force. I think everything is random, and we like to think that things happen for a reason, but I don't think there's any reason. There doesn't have to be, you know?
I think that's another topic we can talk about, like...
yeah.
Like destiny.
Because we didn't get into randomness as much.
Or do we should
power,
go... Yeah.
randomness, and choice, right?
Do you want to talk about that?
I don't know, I just want to say it's easy to connect the dots backwards.
Yeah. In hindsight?
Yeah, and
it's human nature,
right? It's so much easier.
Well, there's a term where you look at things and you'll see faces, but that's just human nature trying to connect the dots.
Right.
To see the face.
You're so used to
really
there is no face, exactly. Like on Mars, they saw a face, but it's just like human things to relate, which you've been grown up with to see in things, right? It's like what's reflected. Yeah. It's a classic example of how we're so much influenced with our environment.
So, what about destiny? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I don't think there's a destiny. Like, I feel like things happen randomly, and we like to put them in order because we're humans.
Yeah.
We like to analyze everything and put it in a logical form so we can digest it better.
Right. It's a
and
story.
pretend that we have control.
We grow up with stories, and we're used to putting things in stories too, right? Or else there's too much chaos in our head, so we like to streamline it.
True.
Right.
I think it's beautiful too, right? In a weird way.
So wait, do you believe in destiny?
I think that I believe in karma. I believe that like as you're living moment to moment, you're changing your destiny with your karma that you're doing.
A lot of people say like, why do bad things happen to good people? I don't know if you heard of that.
Yeah.
Like, people say that often. So where does karma go then?
Like I'm gonna go to my Hinduism thing, and it's like reincarnation, and it's like past life, karmic.
I see.
Karmic.
I would say like you're saying that he's a good person based on what he's done externally.
Yeah.
Or what you saw.
Right.
Oh, you think that his mindset is something...
Well, you don't know what he's actually done.
Right. No, but I guess people like truly believe like why do bad things happen to good people?
Like good person, like let's say, I don't know, someone that's like caring, empathetic, always taking care of the community, and then they get shot randomly by a thief.
Right. Or like yeah.
Like
they didn't deserve it.
They didn't deserve to die,
so
right?
We're being judged. We're being the God in this, right? We're saying, oh, that's the good things that he's done, and so he shouldn't have been shot. Based on our opinion, not the cosmics.
So then why did he die?
But that's what you think. Death is bad.
Yeah, that's another topic too. I mean, I feel death is like the most magical thing probably experience.
Yeah, but I feel like
and nobody can talk about it, right?
Yeah, but nobody wants to die.
That's like attachment because you're just attached to it. But again, Matrix. Society tells you death is bad. But I meditated a lot on death, and I don't know, maybe this is a bit dark, but I'm okay with death. Like if I were to die right now, I would be okay. Like, I'm not gonna be like, I'm dying. Like I don't know, I'm gonna accept it. Like I wasn't born out of my choice, so why should I die out of my choice?
Yeah, just maturity, I think it is.
And I lived a good life.
Well, why don't you just kill yourself then?
Because then that's my choice.
But if you were to die without your thing, that would be okay.
Yeah. Like, why would I go and damage mom and dad's like life and you guys? Like, it's gonna create so much trauma if I kill myself. It's negative,
Right.
you know. Like,
But that's why people don't suicide, right? Number one reason is it's not because of themselves. They don't care about themselves because the impact they have on everybody around them. But yeah, suicide is another big one, right? It's people who say like that's the way you can escape
the Matrix.
the Matrix. Yeah, like Albert Camus, right? He says that philosophical suicide, but only a coward does it. Only a coward suicides.
Life is changing so fast. Also, like I feel like we should not get stuck. Also, like, oh, I made a bad choice, bad consequence. Like, move on. Life's gonna go fast. Like it flows fast.
Yeah, I know, but you need to sit with it sometimes.
Yeah, you need to sit with it.
Right.
But just like, I just want to say to people who are going through a hard time that when you sit with it, to have hope, have faith that...
Yeah, that's what you hold on for.
Yeah. Because if you don't have faith, it gets really dizzy and it gets really overwhelming. Like, I think faith helped me a lot to face my trauma with the fire and losing Zorba, death, you know, facing death also. Just to have faith that... Because I also... let go a lot of like, I know everything. I'm God. I'm not God. I'm human. You know, what do I know? I need a sticker for external validation for me to make me happy.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
if I was God, I wouldn't even need this. You guys, right? So it made me more humble, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, you never know what's gonna happen. You know,
Yeah.
no matter what decision you take, you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So I guess we're gonna wrap it up. Is there anything you want to add, Archon?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think we touched a bit of everything. It was like pretty deep, but thank you guys for sitting with me for so long on this topic. And yeah, okay, so we'll talk about more things on the next topic. So yeah, thank you for joining us today in More Than Society, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
Ciao.